What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. And have you ever looked at your motorcycle and thought, man, this thing's getting a little long in the tooth. I wish I could add some more modern features like a dash cam or maybe a blind spot monitor. Well, mercifully, we are living in the golden age of bolt-on tech for your motorcycle. And I've actually got both of these things right here, and we're gonna check out how well these work. Now these right here are the Innovv K7 dash cam and their third eye blind spot monitor. Longtime fans might remember I checked out the third eye back in the day when they had a watch version. Now they've released their mirror mount version, which is going to reduce a lot of the complaints that I had about that first one. And then this K7 dash cam right here gives me all of the dash cam goodies that I would want for somebody who's commuting, but without having a giant dashboard. Now, before we dive into the install, I do want to point out that Innovv is sponsoring this video. They have sent me these products, and while this is a sponsored video, all of the thoughts and opinions about both of these products are mine. So, with that being said, let's dive on to the install. All right, so I've done this before, so I'm kind of gonna speed run it and talk about a lot of what's going on in VO. And I've chosen the 690 here because space is at a premium on this bike. There's not a lot of stuff where I can hide electronic bits and bobs. So I kind of wanted to challenge myself a little bit and see if I could fit all of this technological goodness onto this bike here, despite really not having any room. So let's dive on in. Now, if you're gonna do this on your motorcycle and you wanna make it permanent, this yellow wire right here actually ties into something like your license plate light. That's actually a really great way to tie power to one of these accessories here that runs off the battery so that it doesn't drain your battery while it's off. So for this install, because I'm not 100% sure I'm gonna keep it on this motorcycle, I'm gonna leave this off and then I'm just gonna use the ring terminals and I'll disconnect the fuse in here to turn it off. All right, now that this is installed, it's time to start running wires forward and backwards. So let's start by doing the third eye and then we'll install everything for the dash cam because I need to take off all this stuff heading up the bike. All right, so I got the wires going from there along the side of the bike, up and up and up, and then they kind of poke out right there. But the idea is that these guys mount right there on the light, and then when someone's in your blind spot, you see it. Now it's time for the big brain. This is for the dash cams, and I need to check and see where all of this is supposed to, like what the plugs are supposed to go where, so that I can start laying it out and then start running wires. Whoops. That's weird. I've never had 3M not stick to something. Whatever's on here is like rendered the sticky useless. I think there's some kind of wax on there. Thanks, KTM. Alrighty folks, this isn't the most neat install of my life, but there is the forward-facing camera, the camera control switch, and then we've got both of the blind spot monitor blinkers on there. You can actually see the control switch right there. And then on the back side, right there is the sensor for the blind spot monitor, and there is the other camera. Now, I said this before in the video, and if I didn't, I'm gonna say it again. You really wanna take the time to make sure that you're careful about running these wires, because there's a lot of them. They're not hard, it just takes time, and if you start losing your focus, you might wanna put it down and come back to it. The better you have it set here, the less likely you're gonna have to come back and do it again later. I decided I'm actually gonna give these away because I think that would actually be really cool. I'm gonna give them away over on the Discord server, link is down in the description below. So with all that being said, it is currently getting close to 8 o'clock here. So sun's setting, I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to go take this thing out for a ride, see how the dash cam works, and more importantly, I'm interested to see how this blind spot monitor looks. Okay folks, we are actually out here now. We're in a neighborhood in front of some house, so I'm gonna get moving before some Texas hipster runs out with a shotgun and chases me off. But I did want to shout out the fact that I actually moved this thing from here to here because the footage was getting really shaky off my fender. This is a very vibrational motorcycle, so it's hard to find a spot that doesn't shake, and you can see even the tail right there still shakes because it's not a part of the subframe assembly. So there is going to be a little bit of vibration in there. There is also a new little foamy under there that's helping absorb some of the vibration up front. So if you are seeing all of this right here out of this back camera, that's because it's mounted there and some of it's in the view. So your mileage is going to vary depending on the motorcycle that you decide to put this on. Specifically the action cam, or specifically the dashboard cameras, I mean. I'm going to keep calling them action cameras just because that's the headspace that I'm in. But any bike is going to behave slightly different, and you're going to want to pick your mounting points appropriately. But now that we're actually underway, let's start talking about the products themselves a little bit here. So I'm going to start out with the blind spot monitor since we're moving, and this is the perfect spot to test it out. You'll notice I'm not actually in the normal spot that I like to be, which is a nice twisty road. I'm out here in the city. I usually don't like riding in the city because I'll admit I'm not the most attentive rider, and I don't end up looking over my shoulder when I'm sitting at a light. Mercifully, the third eye's doing that for me. So let's talk about how this works. If you missed my last video, which you can be forgiven because that was a long time ago, the way this works is it's got that sensor out back that's got a nice wide-angled field of view, and it's looking for cars. It's looking for objects around you that are approaching you. So I've got a car coming up over my left shoulder here. I'm going to slow down a little bit so that he actually starts approaching me. And you'll see this red light right there go off. And there it is. So it's a good indication of what's happening around you. Now, I'm going to say this right now. It's not going to replace a head check. And it's not going to replace you being aware and looking around. What it is going to do, though, is it's going to smooth over those edges where perhaps you're going to miss an object. You'll also see, because I'm coming to a stop, both of these things light up because there's a car coming right behind me. That's really cool because if I've got a car right behind me that's approaching and I see this blinker action happening, I know, oh, I should look behind me and take a look. So, you know, maybe I'm sitting here at this intersection and I'm a little bit hot, I'm a little bit bored, or I'm a little bit distracted, and I'm not looking behind me. I'm not watching my mirrors because I'm watching the light. This thing is looking out for me, and even if I'm looking at the light, I can see these lights start flashing. And it's just a good second layer of defense. Something that is going to watch out for you when you're not watching your own six. Now you'll notice, since I'm just sitting here and all the cars around me are just sitting here, it's not constantly flashing because that Volvo over my left shoulder there, it's not moving. But if it's there and I start going past it, you'll notice the light goes away because it doesn't respond when you pass a vehicle. It's not going to go off if I were to say go around this Kia. So let's pick up the pace, zip right past him, nothing. But if I were to slow down,
and the Kia starts coming back into my blind spot, you'll see it go off. This thing is just a really nice feature to have on any motorcycle because it's truly universal. The only thing that I would like to see added to this that makes it a slightly harder recommend is it needs that third accessory wire that basically the K7 has that allows it to turn on and off with the key. Right now it's just tied to my battery and I pull the fuse. I'm sure I could tie it to another 12-volt circuit so it turns on, but it comes with battery lugs, so it's meant to be tied to the battery. That's really the only thing I can say about it, because the beauty of this versus something like the Watch Edition that they have, or the Chiji that I reviewed, is I don't have to look at some dashboard. I don't have to look down to see what's in my mirror. This is already here. It's in my peripheral at all time. So if you're going to go for a blind spot monitor, this is the way to do it. That's why they put blind spot monitors on mirrors in cars. But you heard me mention that K7 dash camera earlier, so let's actually have a little bit of a conversation about that thing. What do I see the real secret benefit of a dash cam for? Who do I really think it's good for? Obviously, commuters. You know, a lot of people like to have dash cams for insurance purposes or to, you know, just film their rides so they don't have to have a camera on their chin like I do all the time. But those are the obvious guys and gals who need a dash cam. If you're a track rat, you should definitely consider putting a dash cam on your motorcycle. Why? Because you can't have all these cameras on your bike. You know, usually you can get away with safety wiring one to your tank or one to your tail, maybe one to the nose of your motorcycle, but these things are hard mounted to your bike and they're pointing forward and backwards, so you can see the angle, you can see where you might be missing stuff, you can see how people are passing you. It's a really nice way to review your own footage, especially if you can't have a camera on your chin, which Ride Smart, my local track day organization, they do not allow you to ride on track with a camera on your head. And of course, this thing has a GPS function, so it tracks how fast you're going. Now, it's a 10 hertz signal, which means that it's tracking you 10 times a second. So it's not exactly instantaneous, but it is fast enough that you're not going to notice the difference between your GPS speeds at any given time. Another fun thing about the K7 here is that it features a built-in microphone so it can capture some of the audio off your bike. That's a neat feature. However, like I said, I checked some of the footage before and I'll let some run here for you. That doesn't sound awesome. It sounds fine. It's hard for me to look at that and be like, this is some super high quality audio. It's very high gain, which makes me think that this microphone is either too sensitive or the gain is set too high. And what Innovv could do is they could change the mic that they equip with this product, or they could dial back the gain in a firmware patch. So those would be some good options, because my microphone is hidden under my seat. It's not getting wind noise. That's just the noise of the bike overwhelming the microphone. We are also filming at 2K 30 frames per second, which is nice. A lot of these are usually just 1080p or even 720p, so you actually are getting some bigger, higher quality footage. However, again, I'm going to caveat that this is not an action camera. So you're not getting action camera grade quality, but it is better than the competitors on the market. Alrighty, so let's start rounding out my thoughts on all of this stuff here. So I'm going to start out with the ease of installation. This one is pretty darn easy. If you can install a tail tidy, you can handle this. However, the only caveat is definitely going to come with the yellow wire that goes to your bike's harness, because you have to tap into your bike somewhere. The only piece of advice I'm going to give you there is do not tap into the bike side, tap into the light side. If you're a little bit concerned about that, I would just watch a video on how to tap into your bike's wiring harness, because there's a ton of accessories out there that require a 12-volt signal to turn on. It's a really common thing. Then when it comes to price, the blind spot monitor is about $300. I'll have the exact prices on screen. It's about $300, and for $300, absolutely, this is an unqualified buy. It is so easy to mount. It's so easy to use, and it's so easy for me to recommend, just because it helps you ride a little bit safer. Now, when it comes to the dash cams, me personally, they're not something that I would add to my motorcycles because I film all the time. However, on my track bike, I do have a set of dash cams on there because it is so useful for recording track laps. But maybe you're the commuter, or you want to film your rides without having an action camera on your head. Then this is pretty handy. It's $400, which is a little bit more expensive, but you got to remember, most action cameras run about $400. The Osmo's the outlier at $300, but you're getting two cameras that turn on with your bike, so you don't have to worry about managing batteries. And when it comes to storage space, this thing automatically loops footage. So unless you lock it using the button right here, it'll overwrite the footage, so you don't have to worry about formatting SD cards. That's really the beauty of all of this tech, is that it's kind of brainless. Once you install it, you can set it and forget it. Sure, you have the phone app, which allows you to pull the footage off the cameras just onto your phone app, but I would just pull the SD card out of the brain under the seat and plug it into my computer. That's just the way that I prefer to manage footage. So I would give both these products a thumbs up, even though I'm going to qualify the K7 just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's a little bit more situational. And with that, guys, I want to ask you, what do you guys think about all this stuff? Is the blind spot monitor something that you would like to have on your motorcycle? How about a dash cam? Do you use one already, or would you like to add one for filming your rides for insurance purposes? Oh, and before I forget, this thing actually has a sensor that will turn the cameras on if it catches too much commotion around your bike, and it'll film it. So like if somebody's trying to steal your bike, it'll film it. That's super duper handy. I can think of 3 times when a previous KTM got futzed with, and I would have liked to have seen the guy's face. So let me know all your thoughts on this stuff down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to check out the K7 or the Third Eye. Links are down in the description below. A huge shout out to the folks over at Innovv for sponsoring this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.